Everyone knows him, everyone loves him. It's everyone's best and well-known iconic yellow beetle type, making a grand re-debut into the world of Metabee S. It is KBT01A Metabee, the anime variant, with a brand new kit all around of Missile A, Rifle A, Gatling A, biped legs, and the leg ability of Battle Master, which buffs power of all parts if all skills are different types. Now, to briefly explain Battle Master, it's slightly different from how All-Rounder works, where All-Rounder requires 3 different skills. Battle Master just requires them all to be different types, but of the same skill, all shooting for instance, is still okay. All the same though, in this aside, Metabee is most certainly going to be making a very aggressive appearance on the field, very largely reflecting how he behaved in the anime, both up close at decking people at close range, and from afar with his very well-diverse long-range kit, as expected of a long-range versatile beetle type like himself. This particular variant, aside from being very physically and notably different compared to the commercial model that's been in game since launch, is most certainly no exception to how powerful he can be on the field. Missile A is a gunpowder skill that is a full AoE, meaning it will damage all 4 parts or spread load its damage equally across all active parts on the target. However, this is of course nullified or cancelled if the enemy is packing concealed or a shield that will nullify and soak the damage to one part as exclusively. However, Missile A, on the other hand, and kind of showcasing as Metabee's exclusive anime finisher in the series, deals double damage if the opponent's armor is under 50%, which means that base 16, almost 1700 power that normally is par for the course with missiles in general, is going to be even stronger than it is before, kind of on the same tier as Revenge Sword that we got with Blade Liger in the recently finished Zoids collaboration. Right arm Rifle A and is very tricky. It's not exactly a long-range pop and shot like you'd expect a rifle to be. Metabee, on the other hand, in his traditional style and attitude, instead will run up close to the closest target he can find and just deck them. Right hook to the face, no questions asked. However, in light of that, because it is still considered a shooting skill, as strangely as it is, instead has a couple rather interesting kicks to it. It attacks the closest target to Metabee, very similarly to how Slash works. So it is an auto target no matter whoever is closest to him, but it also has scaling success and power boost relative to how close that target is to Metabee. So that means the closer that he is, whether he just barely outruns them or just barely catches them on the backhand, the closer he is, the more powerful his right hook is going to be. And pierce damage on top of that is going to be even more so painful when he does manage to get close and deck them. Left arm of Gatling A is another powerful skill that is a conventional shooting, but has a couple of rather interesting points added to it. As a scattered AoE attack, it does mean that it does have a scattered AoE, meaning it will damage 1 part normally and then 2 others at random at 1/3 damage each. But this particular version of Gatling is a little more specialized and plays very similarly to how Punishment works, but without the times 1.5 or times 0.5 damage bonuses. Instead, Gatling A applies 1 of 5 different debuffs relative to which one is picked at random. And those debuffs are Unsuccess, which is a 50% cut to the target's success stat, Defense, Evade, or Metaforce Seal. Of course, no dodge, no defend, and no Metaforce or Meta Change respectively. Or Float Suppress, which was basically a major speed debuff to anyone using float legs, which you will see pretty often in current PvP meta, especially if terrain is just certainly not favorable that week. Biped legs means that Metabee will have very solid coverage across most terrains, as Biped is arguably one of the most and diverse well-rounded, and when it comes to his overall specs across the field, he's got some pretty good speed at his disposal, he's got some impressive armor, and some even meaner and more aggressive power on top of that. When it comes to armor, he's packing about 4,000 HP for the head, about 3,800 per arm, and about 4,100 for the legs, so very healthy and bulky HP pool, as pretty much what set the standard for what expected of KBT types going forward after him. Or at least the commercial model anyway, as being well-rounded and not as powerful, but specializing in higher bulk to stay in the fight longer. Its leg stats are also very good too, at a base mobility of 881, so already off to an impressive start when it comes to its base speed on the field before any other modifiers come into effect. An evade of 760 isn't too bad. He definitely won't be dodging or grazing a lot, but that was kind of expected again and par for the course for KBT types like himself. A melee resist of 952 isn't too shabby, so he can most certainly hold his own up close and personal, which was also kind of expected how Metabee behaved in the anime. But a shoot resist of almost 1450 does mean he most certainly can hold his own up when exchanging pot shots with the enemy sniper from afar. And having a heavy limit of 1 on his legs, even if he doesn't use it as a pure set, does give just a little bit more variety when it comes to using his parts across the team. All this being said, though, as a pure set score, I very easily have to rate everyone's favorite angry little yellow beetle at a very solid 8 out of 10 across the board. His kit synergizes very, very well with each other, even if a lot of the damage modifiers are kind of gimmicky, such as Rifle A requiring basically having an auto target and not giving you a choice of who you actually get to pick. Gatling A with the debuffs means you can kind of stack multiples of them at the same time, arguably up to like 4 different debuffs at once between Metaphor Seal, Evade, Defense Seal, and Unsuccess on top of that. Maybe even Float Suppress too, since it also does grant a small speed debuff. Missile A, of course, for that impressive finisher with that ×2 damage, and Battle Master on the legs only makes his already aggressive kit even meaner on top of that, at an impressive almost 300 points to power to all parts if the skills are all different. As mixed parts, on the other hand, I do have to rate him just a little bit higher at an 8.5 out of 10 as well, given that, again, even though his kit is kind of gimmicky based on the conditions, but still very versatile across the board, mixing the parts up is where a lot of his charm is gonna lie. Biped legs with Battle Master means that you can use it pretty much anywhere pretty reliably as long as you meet that damage conditional bonus condition. Missile A, Rifle A, and Gatling A also have very impressive skills and conditional bonuses as well, so that if you do choose to use one or the other, you can very easily make use of them, whether as a pure set or as mixed parts.